Bienvenidos and welcome back to Puro Pinche Gol, the place where we discuss all things USMNT y la selección mexicana. My name is Adrian. I'm joined once again by my co-host and Tocayo, rocking that Bucky shirt, Adrian. Adrian, how you doing, man?
Hey, how's it going, dude? Glad to have you back from El Viejo Continente. I hope you had a blast over there where you were. Ready to kick back and get into gear.
Yeah, man, ready to record a couple more episodes here. I know we got a lot to talk about this week. La novela that is Los Reinas has resurfaced for season 2. Some new episodes
Uh-huh.
for that soap opera there between Reyna, his family, and the USMNT. We're going to dive into that this episode. We're also going to dive into the new roster that was just dropped from the interim head coach Anthony Hudson. Give our reactions to that and kind of give our thoughts on what we can expect, for that squad here in the next 2 games. Before we dive into that,
Mhm.
Adrian, where can our listeners find us, man?
If they want to see our pretty faces, they can find us on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and turn on the notifications. If they're okay just listening to our pretty voices, they can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or any other podcast service they're a subscriber on.
Awesome. Well, let's get right into it, man. La novela de los reinas here.
Let's do it.
So, a lot has come to light this week, this Monday, 13th of March. Some text messages that were sent back and forth between the Reinas and Ernie Stewart, who was then part of the U.S. Soccer sporting director, I believe. And basically, the conclusion of the investigation between USMNT or U.S. Soccer and greggberhalter regarding his actions that were taken back, when he was 18 against his then girlfriend, now wife. After a 3-month investigation, the independent consulting firm, the third party firm, the U.S. Soccer contacted and hired, kind of declared that their statements, Triple G's and his wife's, were accurate. Some has come up that say kind of contradict what Triple G has said. Triple G said he just kicked her, pushed her down. And I believe the Reyna said that that's not the case, that he actually pushed her down and kicked her like 3 times. So, I mean, we've said it again once and a million times before, no to violence. But, obviously, they researched what they needed to research. They found him, obviously, he was a culprit of it, not culprit. He was they he acknowledged it and accepted what happened. Um, but they found, due to that acknowledgement, due to him being transparent, they found that he's still in contention. He could still move forward as the U.S. coach,
Yes.
assuming they hire him. Um, so Adrian, should he be the U.S. coach moving forward?
I mean, first of all, it must have been very painful for Rosalind to go over all of these freaking events that happened long time ago, for her to have to relieve that and have to even discuss this with maybe some of her family members.
Right.
Must have been excruciating. So, our hearts with her, and we really hope that it doesn't cause any other issues in her marriage. But going to Triple G's, I guess, being being contention, or I guess still being a contender for the USMNT coach job. Let me be. I guess I'm gonna try to be clear, dude. How about no? I mean, I get it that it's debatable that he did a decent job with the USMNT. I think he did the bare minimum. I think the bar was so low that for him just qualifying to the World Cup was more than enough.
Yeah.
Him going all the way to the best 16 was like, okay, pat in the back, you did the minimum that we were expecting. This unfortunate series of events seriously damaged his image, and I see why he's still as a contender for the job, but I think it's time for the USMNT to move on. I think it's time for the U.S. soccer to just move on from this incident, uh, find someone else who has nothing to do uh, with this specific issue, someone who might be not very that or that close or that in cahoots with the U.S. Federation people, and I also think that it's going to be difficult for him to go back and win or earn the trust of the players
Oh yeah.
now that he, yeah, he vented a lot of the locker room stuff on that leadership seminar that he was a speaker on. So yeah, it's a no to me. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree completely. I mean, you don't betray the locker room. That's confidential. What goes on in there, and I feel like had he done a semifinal, or a last eight in the World
Yeah.
Cup, maybe then you look past this because of how good he did. But I mean, just doing the bare minimum
Mm-hmm.
and getting to this last 16 and losing the way he lost to
I don't know.
to the Netherlands, anybody could have done that, right? I mean, obviously not
Yeah.
not to say that he didn't do well, but it's, any caliber coach of that caliber, sorry, could have probably gotten that result. So yeah, for me it's a no. Before we move on from this topic and kind of give our reactions to the roster drop by the interim coach Anthony Hudson, I kind of want to touch base on the Reynas here. So a lot of their messages got leaked. Sexist messages,
I know,
where
dude.
the wife,
Jeez.
yeah, where Reyna's wife kind of calls out Berhalter and says that she can bring him down with the click of a text, knowing what had transpired in the past. She was one of the few people at the time knew about that. But then Claudioreyna commented, I think it was 2018. Forgive me if I'm wrong. It's either 2018 or 2016 when there was a game going on between USA and there was a woman ref. And he pretty much said that, can we get a guy ref here for such a serious game? What are we doing?
Mhm.
So I he's probably done with everything in U.S. soccer. He doubt he'll get any position. He's not going to be respected anymore, which sucks because he was
No.
a a legend for this country's soccer program. Um, what do you think, man? Will this damage? We've mentioned this before in La Novela Reyna Part One, but does how much does this affect Gio, and how much does this damage his image? Is he going to be held responsible and accountable, and get backlash for what his parents did?
You know, I really hope that this doesn't cast a big shadow over gioreyna's potential and near future, as well as his long term future. I think there's no doubt that in the current USMNT roster, he is the youngest, or he's the youngest talent, or not the youngest talent, but he's the youngest player with the highest potential out there. Even I think he can reach a bigger potential or higher potential than even Christian Pulisic. So I really hope that this doesn't put a or makes a stain on his career. I don't think it will. I mean, we have to be able to make the distinction between Claudio Reyna and Gabriel Reyna and Gio, right? He's just a 20-year-old guy. He needs to learn about this specific situation. I think his only mistake was his attitude during the World Cup, but this has nothing to do with him, right? I I seriously doubt that he went out, out of his way and tell his parents, "Hey, go help me out" or something, or do something about this. Which I really hope that's the case. But I don't think it would be fair if the next coach or Tonyo Hudson or the U.S. The new general manager, the new CEO or whatever uh, decides not to call him because of this specific reason, right? It would be different if he would have been heavily involved. Hell, by all we know, he might be completely ignorant about all of the
Right.
I guess transgressions his parents made throughout the years, right?
Yeah.
Um, so I really hope that it doesn't have an impact on him, and I really wish that he continues to be part of the USMN future for the next World Cup cycles.
Yeah, that's a good way to kind of lead into our next topic here. But before we leave this topic, we gotta kind of say that let's hope we're done with this
Yeah,
soccer parent BS stuff, and hiring,
it's gotta stop, dude.
yeah, just hiring people that are part of the the long-standing U.S. Soccer Federation. Don't be afraid to hire
Hmm.
from outside, and hopefully they're interviewing people and other than American coaches. Not to say American coaches suck, but want to see what else is out there. So let's dive
Exactly.
into the next topic here. Anthony Tony El Toño Hudson's
Tanya
second
Hudson.
second roster drop. He kind of had his January camp cupcake, as we called it, earlier this year, where he had a mostly, I want to say, MLS and Liga MX squad
Yeah.
with a couple Europeans kind of just sprinkled in there. But this roster for these actual official FIFA matches is a lot more competitive, a lot more European based, I would say. So let's kind of just walk through it and start with the goalkeepers. Um, you're going to recognize, to our listeners, if you follow the U.S. at all and follow them in the last World Cup, you can recognize a lot of the squad from this previous World Cup, which is good
Yeah.
because they performed decently at the World Cup. So two of the three goalies that were at the World Cup are called for this two games. Ethan Horvath and Matt Turner from Arsenal. Zach Steffen replaces Sean Johnson, who was the third keeper during the World Cup. And I think it's pretty straightforward here. I mean, probably the best three keepers the U.S. has, all three playing in England, two playing in the Championship, and obviously Matt Turner in Arsenal, where he doesn't really play much at Arsenal. He plays the Europa games and Carling, FA Cup, stuff like that. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, what do you think of these keepers? Probably the best three that the U.S. has, huh?
Yeah, no, definitely. I think it's going to be a very interesting competition. We know that Zach Steffen was the go-to guy for Berhalter uh, going through the qualification rounds. But as soon as the World Cup hit, he decided to leave him out and have Matt Turner take the number one spot. So we'll see. I think this is Matt Turner's to lose, to be honest with you. Uh, Unfortunately, he is, the second string keeper at Arsenal, just playing cup games. Zach Steffen definitely has had a more consistent game time with Middlesbrough. And he's been playing good, dude. I
Yeah,
mean, even if it's championship, he's definitely playing at a high level, getting consistent game time, and just honing, waiting for the next opportunity. So I think that it's a safe choice whether he sticks with Zach Steffen or continues to give Matt Turner the run for his money.
yeah. Ditto what you said. It's Matt Turner's to lose, but definitely
Hmm.
beneficial that Zach Steffen moved to Middlesbrough. Playing a lot more in and out every weekend is a lot more beneficial for his
And
development.
And honestly, I mean, these are the three top choices that he has. I mean, I don't think you can call Gagas. He's not even playing. Or he's not even the third string keeper at Chelsea. And who else you have? David Ochoa doesn't want to play for the USMNT. He wants to play for Mexico. Um, so out of all of them, you
Sean
probably have what,
Johnson,
maybe MLS keep. You probably have what, MLS keepers.
Nick Rimando.
Um, Nick Rimando, dude. No, come on, we gotta go somewhere else, dude.
Yeah, no. All right, man. Let's go into the keepers that he called up here. He called up eight. Sorry, keepers, defenders. He called up here. A lot of familiar faces. Serginho Dest from AC
Yeah.
Milan, who was at the World Cup and who's struggling with Milan at this time. Mark McKenzie
Mm-hmm.
from Genk in Belgium. Tim Ream, who
Rude.
actually went to the World Cup because Miles Robinson got injured back in May and has now recovered and is now playing. And to that extent, Miles Robinson got called up to this World Cup or to this roster. Brian Reynolds
Mm-hmm.
from Westerlo in Belgium. Jedi Robinson gets called up again. Joe
Jedi
Scally
Robinson.
from Borussia Mönchengladbach, and Austin Trusty from Birmingham City in England. So a lot of familiar faces. Some I wouldn't say. Well, I guess Austin Trusty is kind of the new face there, right? And
Yeah.
a couple other faces that have a few amount of caps, like Joe Scally. But yeah, pretty. I'd say pretty solid lineup there for defenders, all European based.
So I would say yes, definitely a good call up. I'm just wondering, how much of a I guess depth you have on the Anthony Robinson position. Is he the right back or the left back?
He is
Uh,
the
what's the
right
team?
back, left back.
Right back, right,
I think he's
left
left
back.
back. Yeah.
I don't know how. Well, I mean, you kind of sort of have coverage on that specific area, but nothing against Anthony Robinson. I think he's the best one right now, but he's definitely. I mean, you can actually, if you can find someone who's better, I wouldn't mind benching Anthony Robinson for whoever uh, has a better form right now. But I don't think anyone has. And then Austin Trusty. This is the first time that I heard of him. Do you know if he plays regularly at Birmingham City?
I believe he does. When we look up, our weekend review for the USA and Mexico, and we kind of look up at their
Mhm.
performances. I often see him starting. Since he joined
Gotcha.
Birmingham on loan, he's actually an Arsenal player. But he joined up Birmingham
Ah,
last season, and he's made 36 appearances, so he does play, and he's been
hey, he
doing
does. Yeah,
pretty decent. He's I was gonna say only he's 24, so he's not the youngest guy by any means, but he moved to Arsenal in 2022, and he went straight out to
this is the
loan.
first cap, huh?
Yeah, so
This is
could
the
be
first cap.
could be cool to see him. But yeah, I'm right there with you, man. Like, who's we see Tim Ream and Miles Robinson, probably going to be the two main guys in the middle. But who's going to be covering for Sergino Dest or Anthony Robinson? They're probably locking
Exactly.
starters, but we don't really have anybody as the backup that are playing as probably as efficiently as Robinson. Not necessarily
I
Sergino
agree.
Dest. Sergino's not playing much, but he's still quality.
And then I do have a question. How? Why in the hell we don't have Carter Bickers here?
Hey, call up Antonio Hudson,
It,
man.
it, dude, he's been playing
He's
good.
been playing great.
He's
Yeah,
been actually playing. Yeah, he's been playing great with Celtic.
yeah. It's a good question. I
What
don't
the
know.
hell? You're taking Miles Robinson over him? Come on, man.
Um, I don't know. It might be just that he's playing so great that don't want to disturb that. I mean, like Sergino Dest, who's playing horrible, he's probably taking him to get him some play time because he doesn't play for AC Milan.
I
He got
guess.
dropped from the AC Milan Champions League squad, and they just advanced to the final eight. So
Fuck,
yeah, I
dude.
don't know if he's just
He's having
using.
a rough time.
Yeah, dude, and then he's gonna go back to Barcelona next season and have to compete with Julian Araujo.
Hmm.
Um, that'll be interesting.
Yeah.
But
Uh-huh.
yeah, this from what I get from the squad, there's a lot of obviously players that have been called up before, but that are struggling. Sergio Dest, Pulisic, who just came back from injury, Gioreyna, who's kind of
Hmm.
benched most of the time. And it's kind of a mixture of that and a mixture of new faces or faces with small amount of caps. Austin Trusty, Joe
Hmm.
Scally, Daryl Dike, all these guys that Taylor Booth, these guys that are getting their first caps. So yeah, good mixture. I think maybe give some confidence to those needing it at this time. Um,
Yeah.
but
I mean, Tonyo's still being a nice guy,
just
huh?
being
He
a
thinks he's
nice
gonna
guy.
have an easy game with
I
with
mean,
Grenada and El Salvador.
he should win these two games. I mean, they should
He
win without a
has to win
coach.
these two games.
Um,
Yeah.
s-
Yes.
so moving on to the next section here, we have the midfielders. Brandon Aronson in Leeds, Johnny Cardoso. We have Luca de la Torre, Celta Vigo, España. Weston McKennie, who was benched this previous game for Leeds, surprisingly. And
Uh-huh.
Yunus Musa and Alan Soñora from Juarez here in La Liga MX.
Bravo.
Yeah. Um, so, what do you think of this? Again, kind of a mixture of struggling players, decent players, and new faces.
Dude,
Interesting picks.
my first question to you is who the hell is Johnny Cardoso?
Hey,
I mean,
man.
where and how they found him?
I mean, he's playing for down there in what is it? The Serie
In
A
Brazil,
in
right?
Brazil, right? Yeah, the Serie A
Uh-huh.
Brazilian league. Yeah.
So he must be good.
I mean, yeah. He's playing down there. That's a good league.
Exactly.
He's made
This is the
sixty
first
five
time that I heard of him.
appearances.
and he has 4 caps with the USMNT. Have you heard of him before?
I've heard of him probably a month or two ago, but I didn't think he would be called up. He's 21. Um, he's been
Wow, he's quite young.
with Inter de Brazil from since
Hmm.
2019, and he's slowly been growing down there. He got bought by them in 2019, and well, not bought. Sorry, he came up through the youth system. In 2019,
Uh-huh.
he went up to the main squad, got one appearance. Then 2020, he got 13 appearances. 2021, 27. 2022, 24. So he plays. He plays the whole season. And
There you go.
yeah, I mean that's not a bad team to play at in a bad league. So it's going to be
No.
interesting to see what he does, man. That's one of the exciting prospects
Hmm.
here in this roster for sure.
I agree. I mean, unfortunately, we had no Ty Adams. He got injured before well, I guess shortly before they released the. I guess they announced he was injured shortly
Right.
before
Hmm.
the roster came out. So that's kind of a that kind of sucks. But I mean, you don't really need Ty Adams coming all the way to the states to play these 2 games. I mean, you're pretty much covered on the
Right.
midfield. Quick question. I'm not too sure why they decided to take Alan Sonora. I don't know if this is just a move for let's make sure that we lock him in with the USMNT. Because to be honest with you, Alan Sonora hasn't been playing great at Bravos de Juarez.
Yep.
Um, he's half Argentinian, half American. He was playing with Independiente and now playing with Juarez. He's not even a consistent starter. I think he played half half 45 minutes of the last 2 games, so 90 minutes in total of the last 2 games. He's not necessarily like a great talent. He's not, I guess, being very participative and in any way with Bravo. So I'm just,
Yeah, it's a weird one. Um,
yeah, I'm out of words. I don't know why they will call up Alan Sonora.
it it might be to capture him, or it might be as well, like we were saying, kind of to give him an escape from his club situation, kind of get him, to come out here, train with these guys for a while, and maybe get his confidence up. Because, like you said, he's not playing well right now. He's not playing at all, hardly.
Yeah,
Can be the same situation as Serginho this that we discussed. Just to get him that confidence. That seems to work a lot with Pulisic when he's has his downs, uh,
right.
like etapas with Chelsea, and he comes to the US, plays well with them, and goes back and does well with Chelsea. So it could serve as a kind of like a little mini break to maybe find some some
Some
good
form.
some form. Yeah. Um,
Well, I mean, Lord knows what it needs it.
yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you can't find form against Grenada and El Salvador, sorry, man, shouldn't be there.
Yeah, you have nothing to do here. Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. I agree.
So let's see what happens here. And the last seven on this roster, probably the most interesting, that we're always trying to see who gets called up as the forwards.
Hmm.
You got Taylor Booth. He plays in Netherlands with Utrecht. You got Daryl Dike, who plays West Brom, who's been doing pretty good this season. Ricardo Pepi gets called up for the first time since getting dissed and rejected from the World Cup squad. Who he's kind of been tearing it up as well. Kind of calmed down here in the last
Hmm.
couple months, but he before that he was doing really well. Christian Pulisic, who just coming back from an injury, played, I think, as a sub. He came on as a sub late. Probably has played like 30 minutes the last 2 games for Chelsea. And Gioreyna, who's again been sub with Borussia Dortmund, he's been scoring a couple goals
Hmm.
off the bench, but hasn't really been enough to solidify his starting spot with Borussia. Tim Weah
Hmm.
with Lille, who's been kind of playing as left back, right back, wherever he needs to be playing for in Lille. And the newest, most interesting, I think, inclusion in this roster, somebody that made big news this week, alexzendejas for Club America, has decided to officially commit to the USMNT. This will be his first official cap tie, no going back now,
Hmm.
and kind of just adds more depth to that forward slash midfield wing position that the US seems to be pretty, generously gifted in. So before we really get into Zendejas, because I know you have some opinions on that, uh, first initial thoughts on these forwards. What do you think?
Interesting, man. I wasn't expecting Taylor Booth to be called up. He's not too hot in Utrecht, but again, I don't think the U.S. uh, has the room or the ability to say no to any striker that is out there. Nice to see Daryl Dike coming back after an injury. He's
Yeah.
been playing great. Four
Hmm.
goals in the last 5 games. Dude, that guy is a tank.
He is a
I'm
tank.
really excited to see him play. Welcome back, Pepe. I'm glad that he's being taken in consideration again.
Yep.
But all in all, it's a solid forward roster. Um, Again, I'm glad that gioreyna is in here. Again, as I said, the U.S. has nothing to do or has no. Uh, they cannot reject any talent right now, even if it's a slash a little toxic. um, they cannot afford to lose that kind of talent. So
Right.
it's good to see Gio joining the team, and I mean alexzendejas. It's funny that they call him alexzendejas here when I don't know if it's also part of. Let's forget that he ever played with Mexico as
Right.
alejandrozendejas,
Yeah.
but but yeah,
They're
I mean
whitewashing
it
him,
will
man.
be. Yeah, most likely.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised. But yeah, it's a good roster of forwards. I do have to say I am disappointed that Dirtu Haji did not make the
Yeah.
list.
Yeah. I was, dude, that was on my list to bring it up with you. There to Haji, man. He just scored this past week. 2 goals in one
I
game.
know
Yeah, he's been hot, man.
exactly.
Um, yeah, I mean, do you think Zendejas plays these 2 games at all? Or do you think he starts?
I don't think El Traidor Sendejas will start.
Yeah.
I don't think I don't think he's. I mean, he has tough competition. He's competing against Team Wea. He's competing against Pulisic. He's competing against gioreyna, and even I know that lately, or at least in the USMNT, they want to play him as a winger, right? But in America, he plays more as a false nine, like as the central attack midfielder, not so much on the wings. He can play on the wings, but the his best performances have been when he plays from the middle and then goes out.
Mhm.
So even if he wants to play from the middle and then go out, he also faces tough competition with the likes of Luca de la Torre, Brendan Aronson, even I guess even Johnny Cardoso. Haven't seen him play, but it's not gonna be an easy task for him. I see him coming off the bench, maybe against El Salvador. If he gets to start, he will have to start against Grenada, I think. Um, but I have yet to see what's Tonio Hudson's strategy here. He called up a not so big or not so robust
Mhm.
uh, team, right? It's what 20 something
24.
players,
Yep.
24 players, maybe. Yeah, for 2 games, and one of them they're playing in Granada. So I am wondering if that's the reason why I think he's going. Alejandro Zendejas will start with Granada because he will not suffer from that jet lag as those coming from Europe, right? Which is the majority of the players. So I think that will be, an advantage on his side to say, all right, you should be ready to go. No acclimatation period, no settling down period for you. Go at it, do something on the pitch. But yeah, do you think he'll play?
That's a good point. I didn't really think about the whole traveling thing there. They're going to be playing Granada the first game, um, but I wonder if this is the kind of condition or situation that we often see with like USA or Mexico, where the Europeans come in, they
Hmm.
play the first game, and then they go back to their clubs, and they don't really play the second game, just because they got to,
Yeah.
remind me. I don't know if you're aware, but I can't recall. For these Nation League games, do they pause? Is this an international break? Do they pause club games?
Yes.
Oh, they do.
This is a FIFA international break, and at least Liga MX will not have any games on that weekend.
Okay, so yeah, I'm checking, and they have Europe has Euro qualifiers for those weekends. So yeah, I'm
Yeah.
guessing no club. So okay, so throw what I said out the window about them returning to their clubs. I agree with you. Then if Zendejas is going to start, it's going to be the first game just because of that, and it's the easier team, and
Yeah.
once the Europeans kind of settle in for the week or whatever, and they play El Salvador in USA, they'll probably start the more European based squad. Not to say both squads won't be European based. There, I think maybe 3 players don't play in Europe. Zendejas, Miles Robinson with Atlanta, and
Mm-hmm.
Cardoso with Inter
Johnny
Brazil.
Cardoso.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, it's
I
gonna.
want, I guess, Alan Señora too.
Ah, right. Forgot about that
Yeah.
guy. um,
I don't blame you.
but one we were hoping that was a complete long shot that he unfollowed apparently England from Instagram this week or last week.
Ooh.
Folarin, what's his name? The French guy, Balogun.
Balogun,
Yeah, the guy that's playing in
the
France.
gun.
The gun. So everybody had thought he was going to be playing for England, and he probably still will play for England. But apparently, some Twitter guys I follow that are kind of really into the U.S. soccer noticed that he unfollowed England from Instagram, and so everybody was like, "Yes!"
Interesting.
Like hoping against hope that he'll be joining the U.S. But no call up this time, unfortunately. So don't hold your breath on
They
that
gotta
one.
act quick though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they gotta act quick, but I think it's gonna be difficult to tie him to the USMNT. He needs to get out of the Ligue 1 though, if he wants to, keep on going, improving his performance and getting and becoming a better player. But it will be interesting to see Tegan as a striker for the USMNT.
You don't think if he stays in Lyon, does he have a chance with England?
I think he will, because what other English strikers do you have?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
Uh
Harry
huh.
Kane. And if Harry
Um,
Kane goes down, who is there? Yeah.
exactly. I guess you have what, Rashford and well, you don't even have Mason Greenwood anymore. They don't. No one like him because of his domestic battery stuff or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, God damn, I know. Um, but yeah, no, this is gonna be a good novela, and we'll see how it unfolds. I really hope that Balogun goes to the USMNT. It will be nice to have that kind of caliber player
Hmm.
in the Concacaf region, but I don't know, man. I wouldn't, as you said, I wouldn't hold my breath for
Yeah.
it.
If he chooses the USA, does he automatically become striker number one?
Yes. Is that even a question? I mean,
They're the Haji,
honestly,
man.
tell me. I guess so. I mean, I really want Dirty Haji to be there, but for some reason, Antonio Hudson thinks he's not hot enough. And then you know who else is missing here? Sargent. Why the hell
Oh,
Sargent is not here?
that's
He's
true.
one of the most talented strikers that you have out there. Granted, he might not be a top scorer, but he ain't playing bad with Norwich.
Yeah. He probably wanted to call Pepe back
So
up. Well, I mean, I'm not mad
that's
that
the
he
thing.
called
Is
Daryl
like,
Dike. That was a good call up.
exactly. Hey, that's a good call up too. But why would you call Taylor Booth and not Josh Sargent?
Right. I don't
That's my
know. If
question.
we
And
see if we see
Tonyo Hudson,
Tonyo
Tonyo
in
Hudson, dude.
if we see Tonyo in April at the Mexico USA match, we'll ask him.
Hey, I'll yell at him. Dude, I don't know his ass and be like, hey, yo, where's George Sargent at? Why are you calling Sonora over here, man? What are you doing? Get your act together.
If you want this job,
God damn,
yeah. Well, man,
dude. We'll see
um,
who gets the job.
we'll see, but better not. uh, but yeah, that's kind of our reactions to the quick drop this week on that. They better win the damn games. We'll be watching and we'll reacting to those games,
Hmm.
as well as the Mexico games. These 2 Nations League games. We'll be dropping our 6 things we learned for both Mexico and the U.S. soccer, USMNT. So make sure you guys stick with us throughout the next couple of weeks to kind of get our thoughts on that and our reactions to what transpired in those matches. We're hoping for 4 dubs, but it's Concacaf, so you never know. So Adrian, before we kind of take off here, man, remind everybody one more time where they can find us.
If they want to see our pretty faces, dude, they can find us on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and turn on the notifications. If you only want to listen to our pretty voices, you can find us on Apple Podcast, Spotify, or whatever you get your podcast on. You can also find us on Twitter and Instagram at Puro Pinche Gol. We be posting some stuff out there every now and then. But yeah, that's where they can find us.
Yeah, awesome. So make sure you follow us on your preferred platform of choice. Adrian, another pleasure being here with you, man. We got a lot to talk about here in the next couple of weeks with both El Tri and USMNT. So I look forward to those couple
Hell
weeks
yeah.
here and finally get to watch some matches. It's been a while, especially it's been a while for El Tri matches. So that's going to be exciting. And catch you in the next one, brother.
That'll be good. Take it easy, my friend.
See you, man.
Dose.